we talk about solving small problems versus huge problems, we're trying to make sure that customers don't try to boil the ocean. Because a lot of times we get stuck on trying to automate an entire process rather than trying to just automate a piece or a small thing. So you can always kind of break up tasks or anything you want to automate into like high value tasks. We can also break them up into categories of, is it easy to automate? So you can get a quick ROI, a quick return on that investment of spending that time on automation. And is this a high value task or not? And when you take that Venn diagram of those three categories, like, is it hard to automate? Is it high value? Is it easy to automate, right? It makes it easier to start breaking down tasks to automate them first. So you're not trying to boil the ocean again. So a lot of times we want to concentrate on doing easy to automate tasks because your culture on your team will be more accepting of automation and change if you're saving them 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there with a little bit of investment in automation versus spending a year trying to automate a very complex process. So we always try to say, start small, think big. Is if you break down complex things into easy to automate steps, it's just like any problem. It becomes easier to work on that problem and automate that problem away. So quick wins are great because they're a way for, well, I'll break it down even easier than that. Is a lot of times when customers come to talk to Red Hat, as they think we're a thought leader in this, and we are, is it's mostly a culture question. It's not maybe necessarily a technical question. There's a lot of tools out there that can automate. We think Ansible is the best, but a lot of times it's about taking a team that's not automating and turning them into a team that automates in concert. So any individual can automate, and they can do a little bit of automation from their individual laptop and make their job easier. But trying to get an organization to automate where they're all benefiting from each other's automation is a bigger lift. So when we take and break down a small, easy to grasp, disparate task and have the whole team benefit from it, it's much more powerful, even if someone has a lot more automation for that single user. Read-only automation is extremely important to help organizations adopt automation because it allows that team to adopt automation without being disruptive to other users. So if you're just reading in resources from your cloud infrastructure, your network infrastructure, your Linux servers, you can then create reports, dynamic documentation, audit, security audits, and figure out what's actually running within your organization without actually configuring anything. So you're able to adopt automation, fix the culture, and change the culture for the better by allowing teams to benefit from automation before they're even actually changing the infrastructure itself. So you're able to benefit before you're even configuring a single knob in your servers. So what kind of problems should you avoid if you're starting your automation adoption journey? One that I see with a lot of people is that they start kind of arguing over what is their source of truth. And again, this goes back to like, it's important, at the end of the day, like the culture change is more important. So if you have your whole team automating and starting to trust each other, that's more important than forcing them to use a source of truth on day one. So sometimes people get overly argumentative, or they try to be almost vindictive around what they're using as their source of truth. Is it Git? Is it ServiceNow? Is it some sort of proprietary database that company is using? And I don't think that's as important. I think it becomes important as your adoption maturity curve kind of gets to more users. But if you're starting from nothing, arguing over like what exact tooling you're using is not actually that valuable to your team. So I think it's important to realize that getting 2 or more people to use the same automation is more important than exactly how they're doing it, what they're using as their source of truth, what their policies are and everything, because really it's learning how to trust each other as humans, trust other people's automation, and start to build that maturity within your organization to adopt automation. So don't get too held up on specifics when you start that automation journey, and like you can talk to Red Hat and we'll help you through that journey. So what are some tips where to get started with automation? So specifically, I would say our YouTube channel is a great place to start, YouTube Ansible Automation. There's a bunch of walkthroughs of how to do different things with different IT vendors, whether you're trying to automate ServiceNow, you're trying to do event-driven Ansible, you're trying to do network automation. We have videos and playlists all set up from our different technical marketing managers across our team. There's also a bunch of labs on redhat.com, interactive hands-on labs that you can use. And it's a great way to like test what does automation really mean? What are we doing here? Because a lot of times there's automation for all kinds of different categories. When we talk automation at Red Hat, a lot of times we're talking about IT infrastructure automation, specifically trying to automate Linux domains, Windows, network infrastructure like Cisco, Juniper, HPE, Arista, Cisco, automate storage, NetApp, and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of different things you can automate, but it's very geared towards system administrators, network engineers, IT infrastructure specialists, SREs, cloud engineers. And it's a little bit different than like something like process automation or kind of like workflow automation with like applications. It's way more geared towards IT infrastructure.